Hi, my name is Karen Freeman-Wilson, and I'm mayor of the city of Gary. I wanted to take a little time to explain where the city is relative to our budget, because this is certainly budget season, but also as it relates to our financial recovery. For the last 2 years, we have been talking about getting our city on a solid financial footing. On a solid financial foundation, if you will. And that work has been continuous. It has taken the form of a budget freeze in terms of a hiring and a spending freeze. There's actually a freeze committee that approves the expenditures, every dime that is spent by the city every week. In addition to that, we have taken a careful look in every department to determine whether or not every position is needed, or if there is another way to do the business that an individual may do in a certain position in a department, either in the same department or in another department. Also, there has been an effort to determine where there are places where services need to be provided that we might need more people. And, certainly three of the places that we know that to be true are general services and our police and fire department. So the good news is, as it relates to the fire department, we just got a SAFER grant that will approve 21 new firefighters with a small match from the city. That's pretty important. That helps us to get up to where we believe our fire numbers should be, and it does it without the city having to expend 100% of the money. But this work has been going on, as I said earlier, for about 2 years. And this budget, the most recent budget that was passed by the council on October 22nd, is a continuation of that work. What do I mean by that? Well, the budget included the elimination of some positions in certain departments. Those positions were both management positions and union positions, and we know that there were some concerns by members of the union about the process and about the substance of the elimination of jobs. That was not an easy decision. It was something that was done deliberately and with care, and not in a cavalier manner. It was also something that was done in a way that would allow us to work to ensure that anybody whose job was eliminated would be able to continue working with the city of Gary in some other capacity. That was passed by the council on October 22nd. It will then be placed with the Department of Local Government Finance at the state level. We expect them to pass it, and it will become effective in January of 2020. The importance of the work that we did with the budget this year, and the work that we have been doing with the sale leaseback, with getting contributions from U.S. Steel, upfront payments, if you will, and from even the Spectacle Entertainment Group, who now runs Majestic Casino, is that it allows us to remove the structural deficit. So for the first time in the history, or in the last really 15 to 20 years of the city, you won't have a structural deficit. You will not go into the new year owing money from the prior year. For the last 8 years that I've been mayor, every year around October, sometimes as early as September, we have not been able to pay bills. And what happens is that people who are responsible for making sure that bills are paid in every department holds those bills on the desk. So you really never know how much money you owe because people know that there's no money there to pay. And this is in October, November, December. So what happens in January? You get a new appropriation, you get new money. You know what happens? People start paying bills from the prior year. And so you're always playing catch up. When the sale leaseback closes, and this is the plan that will infuse up to $40 million worth of cash into the city of Gary, $35 million in 2019, $5 million in 2020. For the first time, you won't have that structural deficit, and you'll be able to just start paying the 2020 bills on January 1st of 2020. However, what we also will have to do is adhere to a strict spending plan that reduces the amount that is spent, or that watches carefully what is spent, so as to both increase revenue and reduce spending, so that you will have a balanced budget going forward. You don't want to sort of revert back to old habits in 2020 because you don't end up, because you're not paying last year's bills, you're paying current bills. And so we've laid out what that spending plan looks like, what that financial recovery plan looks like. It doesn't tie the hands of the next administration. It just provides some spending guidelines as they learn their way around the city budget, as they implement the new ideas that they have, as they implement the new programs that they have. There was a lot of criticism, or certainly it was a very spirited council meeting during the budget adoption. And there was a lot of discussion about not having the information in enough time. And if I had to sort of step back and say, what could we have done differently? It certainly would have been to start the public process relative to the budget in June or July. We have always started the budget process as an administration early, but the question is, when does it go before the council? When does the public get a chance to see it? When do we talk to the union about it? And certainly at that meeting, I acknowledged that while we had been having ongoing conversations with the union, we had not necessarily had the discussion about which positions would be eliminated and when. The good news is that these positions aren't being eliminated immediately. There is a time frame that allows for the placement of those workers who may be displaced by the elimination of their position. And the better news is that this is all contemplated, again, to put our city on a firm financial foundation. In closing, I want to say that we count on citizens' help. We are still understaffed as a city, and one of the most egregious areas is our general services department. I'll give you an example. Last year we cut a lot, and this year I got an email from the same person whose lot was cut. And when the lot was not cut last year, I actually went out to see the lot, and the grass was high. It was certainly higher than should have been for a standard lawnmower. Well, lo and behold, I go over there, or I get another email saying, you need to come and cut this lot again. One, it's not a city-owned lot. Two, it would have been so easy if the person who lived next door, once the lot was cut, to simply extend their cutting 2 or 3 feet or 4 or 5 feet to the lot next door. It's in their interest to do it. It certainly is a service to the city. We acknowledge that. And it's a service to their community. I mean, the reality is that we have 30 people working in a department that once housed 400 people. And when I tell you that our general services crew does a phenomenal job, that is the truth about it. But at the same time, we need our citizens to pitch in. And I know they're doing it all over this community. People are cutting literally blocks around their homes, literally 3 and 4 houses and adjacent to their homes. And we are so grateful for that. It is a difficult thing to see the vacancy and the abandonment in our city. There's no question about it. But I'm just suggesting that as it relates to the budget and our inability to have the number of people working that department that we all would feel better about, we need help from our community. And so in closing, let me simply say that we are working hard to create a financial foundation for the next administration so that they don't have to have the nightmares that we had. I would also suggest to you that we are going to be ready and make sure that they're ready for snow season, and all they'll have to do is send the folks out, because we will have the equipment, we will have the salt, we will have everything. And not that we ever ran out of salt, but that's a rumor that was floating out there. So I want to be able to address that. But at the end of the day, if you are going to govern, you want to govern around a balanced budget. You want to govern around a solid financial foundation. We've had some challenges, and those challenges are largely because of the impact of the property tax caps. But that's not something we can cry about. We have to manage around it. And that's what we've been about the business doing, particularly in the last 2 to 3 years. And that now results in the fact that we will start spending 2020 money in 2020. We're not going to spend 2020 money on 2019 bills. We'll spend $2020 on 2020 bills, and the city will be able to move forward to do all of the other things that we as citizens would like to see our cities do. Thank you for listening, and as always, you can always send questions to me at kfreeman-wilson, no hyphen, at ci.gary.in.us. Again, kfreeman-wilson at ci.gary.in.us. Thank you.